Due to League Cup changes, we'll be eliminating any home bias in our opener. Please enjoy this generic opening music. Alrighty, welcome in to Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Now that we have opened this show in the most hype way possible, we want to welcome you into League's Cup edition of CST. We will try not to fall too far behind as we battle back to hold your attention. Pat Noonan with a bit of a surprise this week with that lineup, huh? So I want to hurry up and get our co-host out here because we have a guest. We have a big match to break down. We got Chivas coming up on Thursday. Lots to get to tonight. First up, Jeff Tebbets. Welcome into the show. How you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good. You caught me a little bit off guard there. I was expecting all the flourish and all the pomp and circumstance, and I got waiting music on the line there. Thought I was waiting to contact Spectrum for them to fix my cable. But I'm doing pretty good. A few days down in the heart of Kentucky doing a little bit of work, and got a little bit of a chance to go see the guys at Lexington Sporting Club. Pretty good game. The atmosphere was interesting because I couldn't buy alcohol there, but they 3-0 win by Lex SC, I guess you can call it. They have a brand new stadium that's going to be opening up sometime in the near future. A little bit of promise there. Haven't had too much luck in USL 1, so it was good for what it was.
That's on my to-do list. It really is. I think Cincinnati and Lexington share a little bit. We even have some similar fan bases. Pride's got a group down there. So I would love to get down there and check it out. It'd be pretty cool. So enjoyable overall.
Yeah, enjoyable overall. They played Lou City earlier this year in the U.S. Open Cup. So I'm hoping some more rivalries can stem out from that.
Yeah, sure. All right, Brian Weigel back on the show tonight. What is this, 3 in a row for you?
I'm not good at the maths. Man, you really threw us for a loop there, bud. I'm proud of you. You know, you guys, he still has a little creativity left. We just gotta just applaud his little bits and go from there. Good job, buddy.
Well, thank you. All right, not so creative, but a pleasure to always use this soundbite when he's on the show. And Mr. Bill Wolf.
Man, I thought you were going to say I wasn't creative, but you turned that pretty good. I was a little worried there. I was like, not so creative. We have Wolfman. I was like, dang. It's like harsh. Like I'm back and I'm taking flack already, right? But yeah, great to be back. Kind of tired after yesterday. That was a long match, right? So.
Yeah, late night for anyone who took the kids, right? A little weather delay.
How would you like to be a Columbus fan today? You're really feeling
it. Not at all. I think I would have called in.
We somehow dodged, I think, the worst of that weather, considering Columbus, whatever in the world they got, whacked them pretty good. Bill, going back to your point, someone at the stadium told me the other day that I'm a lot nicer on this show than I used to be on March to Match Day. They said Mean Boston is gone for good. So,
well, we had a thing going. It was okay.
You still never follow the rundown on either show, so that's cool.
Are you saying I need to be meaner on my podcast?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Well, so for a while I had this thing of because for some reason March to Match Day never could get the Subs viewership levels. Like we are always just trailing them. And,
yes.
And so I started like a beef with the main show to try to boost ratings. My goal in life was to have better ratings than the main show. That was my big goal. I don't think I ever achieved it though. So flew too close to the sun.
Yeah, and you're always giving me crap for my age. I just thought you were threatened by my, wisdom and knowledge.
That's it for sure. All right, let's get the pleasantries out of the way. You probably know Apollo Home for their heating and cooling services and their awesome ad reads on this podcast. But did you know they also have an in-house excavation department to help you with your underground water line and sewer repairs? If you are having issues with your water line, drain line, sewer line, give them a call. It's a free visit, actually, for one of their specialists to come on site to your home, written estimates. Check them out, apollohome.com. or schedule a visit. Just give them a call. All right, best and worst. There's a whole lot. 3-3 kind of draw. PK win at home. If it counts as a home game, Brian Weigel.
Yeah, I don't know what we can call it. I mean, games in TQL Stadium, we'll say we are undefeated still. My best of the week, I'm actually going to start off with a shout out to Laurel Failer of Queen City Press. She has a great exclusive with the Brazilian Brenner and his departure. So go check that out if you have a minute. It's well worth your time and investment into her site. So check that out. My best for the week. But on-field best, I think we looked poised. We went down 2 goals, and we still battled back. We still tried to do things. Yes, this versus a 10-man side, but overall, I thought we did well to not lose our cool and to still try to stay in it. We almost lost our cool. You know, Yerson pushing Polito before his headbutt. That was something else, but do applaud the guys for sticking through it and going 90 minutes strong, just like the Bailey. My worst of the week, we're going to call it my truth of the week. Rosters in Major League Soccer are not perfect. There's no way to build a complete roster in this league with the constraints put on us. You can do about as good as you can. People are like, we got to replace Murphy. We got to replace Hagelin. Well, guess what? Those are 2 guys you're always going to look to replace anyway. But guess what? They're both very difficult to replace because they don't make a lot of money and they are the league average. And I love Nicky Hags. He does so much on and off the field that we can give him a couple of different, he's still coming back, guys. He got hurt. He's still working his way back. So let's give him a little bit of a breather. But, when you don't have your full side to start out a match, I still think we did okay versus what is actually was the hottest attack in Major League Soccer since, I think, May.
No, what are you talking about? I saw a beautiful header by Nick Hagelin. I mean, come on.
Really was.
Gorgeous goal. Right on target.
Gave his head, though, I think. I think that's...
If he could hit one of those every game, man, we'd be a whole different team. All right, Jeff Tebbett's best and worst.
Okay, I'm going to feed a little bit off of what Brian's been cooking there. I'll start with my worst. And I think looking at that, particularly that Polito headbutt, we're riding a ton of karma right now. And I have a feeling the tax man is going to ask for his payment pretty soon. Well, we've been fortunate. We've been the benefactors of good luck. And, you take a look at some of the stats over the past few games, 4 games in a row that we've had a penalty kick that Acosta's converted. He's not going to be able to do all of those all the time, and we're not going to get penalty kicks all the time. We're also not going to get the fortune of writing 2 red cards for Nashville and a red card for SKC 30 minutes into the match. So it's going to be difficult for this team to really ride a wave of good spiritual luck. And that's just how we look at it. At some point, something is going to happen to this team that we can't recover from. That's just the truth from me. The best, and I'm also going to ride from Brian about this, the starting 11 has never looked clearer. I think once Obi and Miazga came in at halftime, they looked like the perfect team that was intended to be put together. I think you can, put in the likes of Arias there when you need to, when he's healthy and available. And yeah, you're going to have the case where Hags and Murphy are interchangeable. But I think at that moment, we saw the best starting 11 that we could field on that pitch. And if we have Miazga and Obi healthy and able to put in a full 90 minutes, we're going to have ourselves a great team.
Yeah, right. There was a little bit of shakeup there. So some uncertainty. I mean, that lineup, I still don't know if going down 2 goals is all that great, but
it was shaken up to start. But I think once you brought in the essentials, the DP and the high TAM players that needed to be in there, you got the best performance you can get out of them.
Shaken, not stirred. Bill Wolf.
So I'll start with the worst. I mean, obviously we saw the red card, a headbutt, but I don't know what the heck the ref was doing there. I'm actually not sure what he was doing for parts of that game, but during that moment, he's just standing there like with his red card out for like 5 minutes while everybody's fighting. I don't know if he was like trying to part the sea of players or what he was trying to do, but it's like, dude, you gotta put that card back in your pocket and get some control over this game. That red card isn't cutting it. People were kind of ignoring him at that point. So yeah, I don't know what was going on there. It was interesting, but during that mess, right? One of the things I thought was really best for me was there was a point where Acosta, jumped in because he was the closest one there. And of course he takes a shove from one of the KC players, and it was like out of the frame comes Bupenza just flying in and basically just jumps in front of Acosta and is like standing essentially in front of Mascara and the KC players, between him and Mascara. And it's like, don't push my DP, don't get in my guy's face. And he was all in the team. I mean, this is like the second time he's played with the team, but he was like right there defending his players, and he was FC Cincinnati. So it was nice to see that passion that quick and that willingness to jump in and defend his team. So yeah, I thought that was the best for me.
Awesome. Shoot, I got some awesome ones here in the lineup. So Kevin Michael says the best, pulling out a victory again. You're right, Kevin. It's 3 come from behind wins in a row. Worst, the midfield lost the ball too much in the first half. Jay Yates, playing to win and not resting guys. Hope it pays off is his best. Worst, never really being able to take advantage of being a man up like it seems we could. Nice points, Jay. I like this from Eric. Lucho, he just does amazing stuff in the game, right? You can always count on Costa. Doesn't matter how you're playing. Worst, Hagelin diving own goal. Yeah, we touched on that a little bit. That's a tough one. Oh man,
Hagelin is catching so many
bad week for Hagelin.
Poor guy.
Yeah. But I'm interested in getting your guys' thoughts on the first League Cup game, how you feel like it went, what you think of the tournament thus far. Those of you watching along live, go ahead and put those thoughts out there. We'll get to them later. For now, though, I think we have a guest in the Bay, right? Right, Brian? Why don't you do us a favor and lead us in here?
Gotta get our stuff here, line it up. Dre, we have Apple TV MLS season pass. Play-by-play commentator Dre Cordero joining us this evening. One of my favorite voices in all of, I guess we'll call it U.S. soccer, whether he's broadcasting U.S. women's, U.S. men's national team games. Tremendous play-by-play on Apple TV on the MLS season pass. So very happy and blessed to have Dre in here this evening. How are you, sir?
Oh, brilliant, man. That's very kind. Thank you. Listen, I'm having a blast. Like the Apple TV stuff has been brilliant. Leagues Cup, we didn't know what it was going to be, and it's been pure, unadulterated fun. And we were just coming off, me and my commentary partner, Jimmy Watson, were just coming off of back-to-back games in Colorado, where we did the second half of that makeup game between the Rapids and Portland Timbers, and then the 90 minutes of Colorado against Houston. 135 minutes of dull, lifeless, 0-0 football. And then drunk, beautiful mess of a game in the Leagues Cup opener between Cincinnati and Sporting Kansas City. So, I mean, we couldn't be more thankful, and we enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, I do like how a lot of people out there were literally calling this game drunk. I mean, so many different variables and variations going on throughout the game. Red cards, freak goals, own goals. It was wild, but that's something that I kind of like, having you basically clean slate going into this middle of this season. Everybody has a new chance. You had Sporting KC, who started the year very difficult, who's come on. You have, of course, the league first place team in FC Cincinnati. Overall, I think it's been very well received so far, now including all the Liga MX clubs.
Yeah, well, Messi's free kick, the debut game on opening night of the competition, probably helped generate a little bit of buzz too. But Cincinnati picked up on it. This is my first trip to TQL. I'll be back there again on Thursday night. But this was the first time I've been out there, and I heard so many things, so many good things. I had the privilege and pleasure of working for Inter Miami for 3 years before the Apple TV thing came along. And, you hear these amazing stories about what the atmosphere is like at the stadium. And this season especially, right? Because you guys had really good crowds last year, but this year you're averaging 97% attendance at all your games. This was close to another sellout. It's a really, really good, one of the best places to experience a game. And for my introduction to TQL to be, that game where you're down 2-0 after 12 minutes, where you get 6 goals and both keepers were actually pretty good. It ends in penalties. It feels like a win, but you only get 2 points. Like, it was just such a beautiful, chaotic example of how like wild and crazy this league and American soccer can be. That I think everybody got the money's worth, and we certainly enjoyed it.
Dre, I feel like you need to come back for a season game though, because the neutrality of the openers, the in-stadium environment caught us a little bit off guard. So we were talking about at the beginning of the show. I think the fans, like the people next to me, were like, "What? We're not going to scream Acosta and Vasquez to start this match?" It was very much muted, and I'm sure that's part of CONCACAF's Liga MX. Is there anything you guys are doing different production wise? Like, is it a little bit different? It feels different than a league game.
From the TV perspective, like what it sounded like, I have no idea what it sounded like on TV. I was just I haven't gone back to watch it back. So
the end stadium was definitely different.
Was
at least from our...
I think he's talking about what how you guys are going to be looking at Liga MX's teams. What's your preparation different than what a traditional Major League Soccer game might be?
So they've done a really good job of making it very similar. We've had just amazing access to the MLS clubs. We talk to coaches and players ahead of every game. We get a chance to talk to coaches and players after the game. There's a novelty also to not just the Leagues Cup, but Apple TV stepping into year one of this 10-year project. And what I found is a lot of the managers are just really open to sharing information that maybe before, when it was a bit more regional and commentators were working directly for the teams, you didn't get that. And so we don't get obviously the same exact level of access to the Mexican clubs. We'll do Chivas in this group. Mm-hmm. So obviously I started out with 2 MLS clubs. Peter was great. Pat was outstanding. So nothing changed in regards to this first game for us, because it was just two MLS clubs that we've done in the past. It was that familiarity and that openness that I think from week one, like every single like coaches meeting that we had, there was like enthusiasm from them about this project and about how it was going to go. That I was actually taken aback by that, right? Because this is a league that is like notorious for acting as if they're hiding CIA secrets over injuries and all of this stuff. We're just like, why do we have to navigate all of this? So that openness has made it really simple. I don't know how it'll be with Chivas, but we are setting up some contacts and some conversations with them as well. So I suspect that it'll be the same way that it has been with the MLS clubs. The fact that it's the Leagues Cup, that it's not some like Champions League semifinal or something along those lines, I think they'll be a bit more open to just everybody pulling in the same direction to get a really good product out there. So I don't see anything different in our preparation between those games. And I also I haven't sensed any kind of homerism from like American soccer broadcasters in games that have featured Mexican clubs. I think from that standpoint, it's been nice and even. And you have to take into account just how large the Mexican fan base is in this country and how they turn out for games, not just on TV, but in stadiums as well. And so even if you're Cincinnati, you have a great home crowd. You open up against a Mexican team, you're going to get some opposition in that stadium. It's going to sound a little bit different just by sheer virtue of the balance of home versus away fans.
Great. Typically, I host a podcast during the week where I interact with podcasters or fans from the other team. I'm not going to get that sort of advantage this week. So I thought maybe approaching you about this might be a good idea. We need to know a little bit more about what to expect in this Chivas versus FC Cincinnati match, other than them playing them last year in an exhibition match. What are you looking forward to seeing in this matchup between powerhouses Chivas and FC Cincinnati?
So I'll be 100% transparent and candid. I landed in Miami today. I took a very long nap. I had some coffee and I joined you guys. I have not yet started for the game against Chivas. I've had a chance to see some of the highlights from the games that they played. I know that they're obviously off to a really good start. I think they're missing Alexis Vega, who's one of their highest paid players and probably not going to feature here. But I'm not really like in a position right now where I'm gonna. I don't want to embarrass myself with like the lack of knowledge I have. So I'll be transparent with that.
There is you can't. Well, I don't know where the archive is. I know we played Chivas last summer in the Champions Cup whatever preview, and it was a very exciting, very fun game. And I'm very excited to have them and their fans. I mean, you see the excitement around town with all the signage and everything, and just look at SeatGeek on the secondary market. These are like 3-4 times the price of what the Sporting KC game was. So. Should be pretty exciting.
Massive club. I mean, listen, every time there's those conversations about, should MLS and Liga MX, blend? Chivas is one of the clubs that comes up because the biggest thing that the Mexican league can contribute to any sort of merger, or in this case, Leagues Cup, is the branding, the history, the following that these teams have is just outrageous, right? Compared to just under 3 decades of Major League Soccer, in some cases a bit more with NASL and whatnot. But I think what they bring is that fan base, the history, the you want to be like, I'm a bit gutted for Alan Pulido with the Sporting Kansas City thing when he gets himself sent off with that rush of blood for that, because I think that was one of the coolest storylines that we had in this group was, hey, we get to see Pulido, who's in form, play his former club, and a club that apparently is trying to bring him back into Mexico as well, right? So like I think just the status and the stature of the Mexican clubs is something that, if we're honest, like American soccer clubs are still trying to attain, right? These are sort of global brands in a way that I think we're just starting to become. And so that's, for me, exciting. And it gives you a little incentive if you're a Cincinnati fan or a Sporting fan to try and beat these big Mexican Liga clubs.
Sure. So let's pivot to the excitement, the buzz going around the league right now. As we mentioned earlier, you are the voice of Inter Miami since their inception, and you've been, I'm sure you're still embedded very well with a lot of the people that work there. So tell us about the vibes going on at that club and around the beautiful city of Miami, and how Messi's taken everything over.
It's absolutely surreal to me, right? So I began my broadcasting career 03-04, same season that Messi debuted at Barcelona on the senior team. At the time, I was working for Gold TV. They were the La Liga rights holders. I, was there like something like 8-9 years. Went to be in sports when they picked up La Liga. So I've been following, Messi, Busquets, Jordi Alba, the rumors of Luis Suarez now. Like these were my sort of day job. My day-to-day was European soccer, specifically La Liga and Spanish football. And so I'm not, starstruck at this point in my career. I'm not easily sort of like moved. I wouldn't say jaded either, but I got chills. Like my body did something I did not expect the moment that Messi stepped out there. And I think that to see that stadium packed to capacity the way it was, with like the new, corner zones as well. See the way that he changed the game. Like, the buzz is nice. The fact that he's here and that there's more eyeballs is great. But then you watch like Messi and Busquets step into the.
It's all right. We're a family show around here. We love it.
Yeah, I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Let's go.
Anyway, to see the way that they impacted the game, like that's the part that just really moved me. I had questions about Busquets, whether he eventually converted into like a center back because just that's not the mobility that maybe he didn't even have that when he was younger, right? So like how would he adapt now to this physical league? His progressive passing, his ball carrying is going to be a game changer for this team. Messi is Messi. He's in Spanish they call him tolocampista, right? He basically fills all the positions anywhere on the pitch, his influence. And so for me, it was just a sense of slightly surreal, and then just like the soccer geek in me just really buzzing about the way that those guys changed the game, and watching a team that I feel like really like close to, not just because I work with them, but because I'm from the city. We're sort of a cult of Miami soccer fans going back to like Miami Fusion days. And we were, starved of our soccer for so long. Inter Miami comes in. Anything that can go wrong does go wrong, right? The stadium's still not up. They launched later than they hoped to. They had the deductions you're still dealing with in the salary cap space because of the extra designated, the creative accounting practices, if you would. We launched in 2020, played 2 games away from home. They launched in 2020, played 2 games away from home against LAFC and DC United. Pandemic hits, and they don't get a home game for 8 months. And now this falls on your lap. Like now you are, in a sense, the center of the soccer universe, or at least this sort of hemisphere of it. It's surreal. It's the best way I can say it. It's absolutely surreal. And I'm just so thrilled that I can, like I said, I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, that I can take them, down the street to go watch Leo Messi, Sergio Busquets, and company play.
You guys could have waited. Miami could have waited a year. This is supposed to be the year of FC Cincinnati, right? No, we have that we have that Open Cup semifinal here.
Yeah.
And I'm interested. I'm interested in what a fully loaded FC Cincinnati can do. Whether Messi and company will just run us over, whether we put up a good fight. Is this Messi's league now, or do you think there'll be some adaptation to Major League Soccer? And
So for sure there'll be some adaptation, but I think any league that Messi plays in is Messi's league, right? Messi goes to Manchester City in the Premier League, and that becomes Messi's league. Like, it's just even at this stage of his career, the guy's coming off of a World Cup victory where he was arguably the best player there, right? Like either him or Mbappe. So I think obviously there's some adaptation because the travel is different. The thing that a lot of players talk about when they come over or not from European leagues is they're just not accustomed to the I mean, those of us who move around for a living know that just sitting in a plane like kind of drains you. So to move around as much as they do is a challenge. The changes in like climate from stadium to stadium, from venue to venue, is a challenge. The condensed schedule, the physicality of the league. So I think there's a lot of like TBD still with how this is going to work, right? And so you've got three really good additions to that Inter Miami team in Messi, Busquets, and Jordi Alba, but they're not 24 years old, and they're going to have some real stress on their legs and on their bodies in a league that does beat you up a bit. The other thing, just looking ahead, way ahead to that semifinal against Cincinnati is I think that this Miami team now with Messi pulling the strings and with Busquets, if the glimpse that we saw against Cruz Azul is sort of the role that he'll play, which is just getting the ball into the final third to Messi and then eventually to Jordi Alba, then this is a team that's going to win a lot of like 4-3, 3-2, 3-1 games. So teams that have a good attack are going to score goals against Miami. Miami are not stacked defensively necessarily. They're missing key components of the midfield in Gregory and Jean Mota. Gregory's close to coming back, and I think he's been added to the Leagues Cup roster, which suggests that he could be there in time for that semifinal against Cincinnati. But in what form? And in what? So Miami's going to play and let you play. And against a team like Cincinnati, that makes for a really, really fun 90 minutes.
I'm actually interested in some of your comments you've made about Busquets specifically. I was talking with, other fans of Cincinnati, and everybody's, of course, worried about Messi. And my thoughts were, Messi is Messi. And of course, he just is. But the scary part for me about Miami was not just that they got Messi. If they got Messi alone, that would be one thing. But the fact that they bring in these other players behind him, specifically Busquets, and watching that game, that Cruz Azul Miami game, right? It's frightening, right? To see how he finds those lines to break down, to get the passes behind, to get the ball into Messi. And not just that, but I feel like even though Messi's wearing the captain's armband, Busquets, to me, he's the general out there. He was moving people around. He was giving instruction. And I think, you see a month of that team with those younger players gaining that knowledge from him. And I think this becomes a much better team. And the players that we've seen are much better players by the time this season's over.
I think you absolutely nailed it. Like for me, the biggest takeaway from that, once I overcame this like outer body experience of watching Messi step onto the pitch for my hometown team, the big takeaway from that Cruz Azul game for me was Busquets is going to ball in this league. Because that to me was a genuine question. If you're thinking of Sergio Busquets as the catalyst of or the metronome of a possession-based system that is going to just starve the opposition of the ball, and like what we're accustomed to seeing at his best version in Barcelona, that wouldn't necessarily translate to this team, to the personnel around him, to the way that this league operates, to the opposition you face here, to the chaos, frankly, coming off of that Cincinnati Sporting Kansas City game, right? Like you don't exert that kind of control. Few teams do in this league. And so forget that Busquets. Instead, give me a Busquets that's going to have progressive carries with the ball. Is going to break through lines with. I don't remember. Again, I've been covering this team since like 2004, and I don't remember a game in which Busquets carried the ball forward with his dribbling as much as he did against Cruz Azul. Like he would find these acres of space, and as soon as the lane opens up, he's got that telepathic understanding with Messi, especially with Alba when he gets there. And I think other guys, young talented players like Kremaski, for example, these guys will figure out those spots that they can get into to be picked out by those passes. And I agree 100%. They're going to be so dangerous in attack. But then the question becomes, how are they in transition to defense? And that I think is still to be determined.
All right. Well, do you have? I know you've already got a game under your belt, so we're gonna give you one shot. I guess you're coming back Thursday for Guadalajara. You got anything for us? Any questions about Cincinnati? Any takeaways you think you might need? Let us help you if we can with the broadcast.
I love that actually. Thanks for asking. Who is your unsung hero on this team, right? Because obviously you've got guys like Acosta and Barrial were just a conveyor belt of chance creation. I mean, it's surreal the number of chances those guys create. I think there's some excitement about what Bupenza can do, but we've seen just under 80 minutes of him. So who is the sort of unsung hero of this team that you don't think the rest of the league is really paying enough attention to or really knows much about?
Yeah, they're already shouting it in the Facebook chat there. Obi is you saw the impact. He wasn't on the field in the first half. FC Cincinnati goes down 2 goals. It's just amazing what Obi Wobodo can do when he's on the pitch. He's our attacker. It's just, even though he's a defensive midfielder, he sets the pace. He's a shark. I don't even think MLS refs know what to do with him because he's so aggressive. But he really does shake things up in that midfield, and he throws other teams off of their game. And for me, he's the unsung hero. He's the easy choice. You guys got anything else? Or you?
No, he's clear and easy for me.
Arsenal wouldn't have scored 5 goals if Obi was in that midfield. That's all I gotta say.
I can definitely give like a different perspective, and I think my guy would be Ray Gaddis. For him to have one foot up, I'm dead serious about this, and I'm not saying this in terms of a performance on the pitch. I'm talking about someone who is able to keep this team level-headed outside of the pitch. I've talked with him in the locker room. I've talked with him after games. He is one of the, I think, most level-headed guys you can talk to. That he sees the game differently. He sees the community differently. He sees more than just the soccer game. He sees what it means outside of the pitch. And he also every now and then will come out and give you a play that we really need. I mean, the first game, I think, against Houston, they brought him onto the left side of the pitch instead of the right side, which is his normal spot. And he made 3 or 4 great plays that kept Houston out of the box, that kept the ball up the field. I think Ray Gaddis has this sort of personality to him, but also every now and then is able to keep things, the momentum on our side.
So I love that. That's actually his reputation around the league. Obviously, with Black Players Change, and just he's known as this really thoughtful guy who just transcends just the sport and goes beyond that to a lot of the cultural and social issues. But going back to like the soccer side of it, I actually didn't know what to make of this when he first came on. But how did you guys see Kubo at wing back like that? That's I know he's played obviously a variety of positions, but he's gonna be in goal.
He's the Swiss Army knife.
I don't want to see it ever again.
Give me like 3 minutes of him, like if we're up 4-1, and I think that'll be fine.
Gotcha.
It's interesting. They've changed Kubo's role every single year, I think, since he's been here. And I find it interesting what FC Cincinnati is doing with Kubo, and now this year Noonan plugging him in. We've had kind of a rough couple months. It doesn't seem like it if you look at our scores and our matches, but we lost Vasquez, we lost Miazga, we lost
Santos, Baji.
We needed guys like Kubo, to be honest with you, to plug and play and to get us through that little patch there. FC Cincinnati very well could have given up that lead that they had. That we even talked about on the show a month ago. We were like, well, at least we built up this bucket of points, because
you bracing yourself.
yeah. Well, it just didn't look pretty. When teams lose major pieces, you just don't expect to finish that stretch as well as FC Cincinnati did. I mean, really, the 6 points going into Leagues Cup, in their last 2 games is just phenomenal, considering that their entire top is gone. That's pretty cool. Acosta, of course, big piece of that.
Yeah, he's an absolute monster. That when I spoke with Pat about Acosta before, he just the way that he seems to have a chip on his shoulder. Like he plays every game like he has something to prove to everybody out there, and it's one of those things where like if there's somebody of real quality or real buzz, this is one of the reasons why that semifinal against Inter Miami is going to be so interesting. So I think you may get like the very best version. Like Lucho Costa will go Super Saiyan in that game just because Messi's on the other side of it and he wants to like show that he's better than Messi. He's got that sort of quality to him, and I love that kind of badassery, for that lack of a better term, to just feel like you're the best player on the pitch, no matter who you're going up against. He had 103 touches or something like that in this game, a game in which he gets a goal, an assist, converts the very first penalty to calm things down. He had more passes in just the final third than any of the Sporting Kansas City players had overall anywhere on the pitch. It just gives you an idea of just how influential he was. And that's just him in the final third. Like, forget how often he's dropping back into the midfield to help build out of the back when they're struggling or they're pinned back a little bit. So I think his influence is just unreal. And he's maybe in the best form that you guys would know better than me, but arguably the best form he's been in since coming to MLS, right? Off of the Player of the Month honors, and then follows up with a brilliant Leagues Cup debut. So I'm just blown away by seeing him in person and just popping up everywhere. You don't get 103 touches in a game by, just sort of like sticking to your position and waiting for the ball to arrive. Like, he just takes command and pulls the strings for that team in a way that him and Badia really are just, like I said, conveyor belts of chance creation.
Yeah, there's a reason why we call Messi the third best Argentinian in the league.
Badia.
Yeah.
No, we agree with you. We think we're very fortunate, very lucky this year. Thank you for stopping by. We had no idea you just flew in, and man, they really work you hard over there.
Oh man, I wouldn't have it any other way. It's one of those things where you're like, I could really use a break, and then you take a break and you're watching other people call games, and you're like, I need to get back out there and call these games.
Well, thank you for stopping by and chatting with us. We're gonna dive back into Leagues Cup here, and we appreciate it. Look, we hope you have a great broadcast on Thursday. And we look forward, man. Come back to TQL Stadium anytime.
Brilliant. Hey, and we'll be back Thursday. If you guys are around, stop by, say hi.
All right, we'll do. All right, see ya. And that's Dre Cordero, and we appreciate him stopping by. MLS Season Pass guest. Always a fun time. New perspectives that we don't always get. Pretty cool that he was in Miami all those years, and he's probably on top of the moon. Watching my Messi come in there. You could even see it, hear it in his voice, right? Let's real quick throw it to Subs and our sponsor at Beyond Exercise, and then we have a match to dive into. All kinds of stuff that happened here. So take it away, Subs.
Beyond Exercise is a locally owned physical.
Try that again.
Beyond Exercise is a locally owned physical therapy and fitness facility that helps people prevent and rehab from injuries, improve fitness and athleticism, and recover from strains of daily life. In fact, they've worked with a couple of your FCC starting 11 over the past 3 off seasons. Check out their website to see who these players are and to see the range of services they provide to keep you pain-free and moving well at GoBeyondExercise.com.
All righty.
You did the same thing last week.
No, for some reason, the button always sticks, and I don't know why. All right. No, that was a good chat. I'm glad we got to do that. But 3-3, FC Cincinnati goes down 2 goals. What is running through your mind, Bill, and the Bailey? Like, do you think we can pull this out? We've had come from behind wins now, but that one was a deep hole.
So 2 down certainly was tough. And then obviously the red card gave us, energy. And you really could feel us coming back. So I think when we tied it up 2-2, it just really felt inevitable, like Cincinnati was going to win this one. And then that handball, it was like a sucker punch. I mean, it just took the air out of so many of us. It was terrible. And I have to say, it just started to feel like we were going to lose this game. I mean, I definitely was not in that mindset where I was thinking we're going to make it. That didn't mean I played any less hard on my snare drum, but in fact, I broke a stick during the game. But it's like, that's what you do, right? We're supporting, we make noise, we try to bring the team up. But man, it just, we just were pounding balls in. It just did not feel like it was going to happen. And then, crazy game this was, right? 2 own goals, 2 handball penalty kicks. Weird, but yeah, wow.
I would say, to Bill's point there, and my best is said, I feel like we had the mentality to keep pushing after it. I feel like our decision-making really wasn't there, especially on some of our passing. There's still some lack of familiarity there with Bupenza, with Pal, even a little bit on that right, just wasn't as flowing as normal. So I felt like some of our decision, and then when Kubo came on that right side, that's where the ball went to die, was when it went over to Kubo on the right. So, I mean, I'm happy it worked out, and we're learning. This is what the Leagues Cup is really here for, is for us to get a little bit creative, guys. I mean, am I wrong saying that? Because we have certainly several other bigger fish to fry right now.
Yeah.
Well, I will say I was surprised. Pat Noonan kind of set the expectation that he wouldn't go full throttle, and he didn't. So he wasn't wrong about that. But it still was stronger than I was expecting. I didn't expect to see Vasquez, Bupenza, Acosta, Barrial, like the top to be that heavy. And then it turns out that he just kind of did a midfield rest. I'm kind of wondering if Thursday is going to be another slight rotation, or if he goes to the nines.
I mean, if you get 1 point versus Chivas, then we're essentially through. So, right?
I think there's a possibility that if we get 1 point and Chivas gets 2, then there's a possibility you could have a 3-way tie.
Yeah, we could have a 3-way tie.
If SKC manages to get a PK win against Chivas. I think the scenario is if we get 2 points or more, we're in.
Okay.
There's no way that SKC can pass us, because we beat them head to head. And 4 points would basically put us at level with SKC. So they would be the odd team out. But in terms of what the scenarios are, it's going to be weird having us play our 2 games and then wait to see what the outcome of the last game is.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're at 3 points, then I am biting my fingernails. If we lose this game, I'm going to be praying that Chivas absolutely, washes the field with SKC.
I've been vocal about not maybe being the biggest fan of Leagues Cup on this show, but now that I'm looking at the calendar, that's a lot of empty space if we lose this next game. I do not want to be without soccer that long, selfishly. So,
and for the players, it's not good for them not to have a match that matters in that amount of time. They'll lose some of that edge.
Yeah, Lucho Acosta can't even take a break at all. So I don't even want to see what he is like with a month off.
Personally, I wouldn't mind if we make our way all the way to the final, because if we do that, then there's a good chance that Hell is Real will be postponed, and we won't have to miss Miazga against Columbus. So that's maybe just me being a little selfish there, but I wouldn't mind that.
Man, look at that! Look at the strategy you're rolling with there.
Brains.
Not to mention the fact that Hell is Real and Open Cup are back to back, and that's. I mean, which one do you? I mean, do you go all in on both? Coming off of a final, I mean, gosh, that would be crazy. So yeah, we'd have to move it.
I don't know what you're worried about. Hagelin versus Zeller-Ryan. What could go wrong, man?
I'm more worried about Hagelin versus Messi because people keep digging up that tweet.
I'm worried about Hagelin versus his own head. In terms,
I'm poor guy.
I'm hoping this doesn't get to him, because that own goal really was not something that he could have avoided. He did his best to try to get that ball out and away from a streaking Alan Pulido, and it just happened to bounce the wrong way. He can't get down on himself about that.
Hey, listen, if that's not going to get in Hagelin's head, if that goal he scored on our own keeper a couple years ago from distance doesn't get in his head. You remember that thing? So I think he's fine. He's just due for an own goal every now and then.
Yeah, probably you could say that about any defender, but yeah, that was a beauty. So
yeah,
it was a heck of a goal. That was incredible.
But coming back to what you said, Boston, I mean, I was a little bit unclear what we were going to do in this Leagues Cup as well. But if you really think about what Noonan said, I don't know that he didn't do what he said. I mean, he basically said he wanted to use this Leagues Cup to get some players some rest, which he did, right? So Obi and Celentano and Miazga, none of them started. And then he wanted to work on integrating Bupenza into the team. Well, you can't just integrate Bupenza into the team. It's about the trio up top. So really, it's about the three of those, Acosta and Vasquez and Bupenza, playing together. And they did that. So in some senses, he did exactly what he said he was going to do. I think, we just kind of read that different.
I thought he meant Acosta. The guy never takes a day off.
Yeah. Yeah, but how do you integrate Bupenza as a striker without Acosta?
Well, I mean, it's a valid point. I guess I just thought it'd be more off the bench like Obi, but I was wrong, and it worked out. It worked out for the Bupenza. So, since you brought him up, let's talk about him. Pretty impactful, right? Like that guy moves around. He's almost like a second Acosta in a way, like as far as the versatility, the backtracking, the getting involved, the opening up passes. They almost got too creative at times. Like it got like they were passing. I think there was one play where I saw 5 or 6 passes inside the box, like no one shot, but everybody was just looking for that opening in that perfect pass.
To me, it looks a little bit like Brenner with a little more of a blue collar, work hard mentality, and he's willing to take a hit.
Yes, he is. He's not afraid. That's one thing we were asking, though. Somebody just keep those guys honest.
I like that he's got a bullet for a foot, and he's not afraid to take these outside shots.
Yeah,
something further than the penalty box. So I think that's something a little different than what we saw with Brenner or even with Vasquez. Vasquez doesn't really challenge from out there. So to have a 2-headed monster where you've got a 3-headed monster, you've got someone who's got range and power out in the back. You've got someone with finesse who can probably lace the keeper in Acosta. And then you got someone who can, get between players and clean up scraps like Vasquez does.
Yeah. Who else do we have that takes shots from distance?
Barreal,
maybe.
Yeah, well, and then Obi taking a field goal at the end there.
Oh, don't forget Alvis Powell.
Oh,
every once in a while. We're always good for an Alvis Powell moonshot.
I don't think his last shot has come down yet. It's caught in orbit somewhere.
I will say a couple things. I thought there was a couple times where Bupenza and Lucho did do some give and goes and work off each other. And I think that speed, you kind of saw it. And again, we're going to say the name Messi probably 18,000 more times this season, like him and Joseph. If those two can start becoming, running off each other and getting in sync, that's going to be very deadly, kind of what we saw a little bit with Brenner at times. The person who I think I was maybe outside of Hagelin, Murphy, there's certainly some negative things to say about Murphy's decision on that yellow card that kind of led to that first goal. But I thought Malik Pinto did not do very well. You could totally tell they were going after our right back, Pinto and Hagelin, very early on, and he just couldn't snuff it out in the midfield. He got bypassed very quickly. We needed, him to break things up versus like what you saw Obi did when he came on the field. So like to see that kid get thrown back out there and learn, from those situations.
I'm kind of surprised we didn't see Angulo start in this game. And I would have liked to see him give a lot more than just, the end of the show there.
Well, you have another midweek game coming up. So I certainly think there's going to be plenty of time for these guys to play and see what happens. I mean, we do need to have some sort of load management for our midfielders, and we'll see what happens with Marco. I really do think that the style of play that you saw versus KC, being a little bit more tight defensively and then exploding on those counters, is going to be substantially different than what we're going to see out of Chivas, who's going to want to possess the ball, use a little bit more of their flair. So, could Angulo, who's maybe a little bit more mobile, I think it's fair to say than Pinto, could he be used better or more effectively in that style of match?
One other thing I noticed about this match, Mascara living on the edge once again with the yellow card. With the yellow card, goes ahead and provokes, I guess in hindsight, wisely, because he gets headbutted and has a player thrown out of the game. But could and correct me if I'm wrong, any of you know enough about the rules? Well, they looked at that play for a bit after the red card, and they did not start play, and I was worried to death. Can you give a yellow card retroactively?
I don't think so. I think you can only retract red cards into yellow cards. I don't think you can eliminate. I don't think you can assign yellow cards. You can call a foul, like, after a goal or something like that, but I don't think you can assign a retroactive yellow card.
Are you talking about after the match or after the play?
After the play.
Oh yeah, you certainly can.
Yeah,
You
can.
certainly can. If he would have hit, if Mascara would have actually hit Polito in the face or something like that, certainly could have given him.
I mean, I thought you could give a red card. I didn't think you could give a red
I
card.
think you can
Yellow
give
card.
even a yellow card if it leads to a red. So
Okay.
No, that was my
That-
biggest fear.
yeah.
Because I mean, we were talking about it all around us while we were waiting for play to resume, and the scary alternative was that Mascara was going to get a second yellow if they wanted to nail him for starting the whole thing. That was my first concern. Then Mascara survives that and makes it later into the match, but he got in the ref's face. Like
I have a feeling if he didn't, win the best sportsmanship award for taking that headbutt, I think they probably could have said, "Wait, no, you pushed at him, you get your second yellow, and you're out of here." The fact that I think Polito just overran him with that, I think it just wiped out any particulars about that.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a no-brainer red. So I could see that. But yeah, Mascara, I will say, I don't know if it's the EPL experience or not, but that guy can really stretch a yellow card. I don't know if we have anybody on FC Cincinnati that can stretch a yellow card like that guy. It's almost impressive. How do I think if you get two yellows, what's the suspension rule for Leagues Cup? If we survive Guadalajara, all of a sudden we might need to look these rules up and check into that.
It's something like 3 yellow cards in some span. You get suspended for the next game or something like that.
I feel like this tournament's a little bit like Whose Land Is It Anyway, where the rules are made up and PKs after 90 minutes and no weird national anthems and no yelling the names at the beginning of the games, and so it's interesting. Who you starting at center back? Do you put Nick Hagelin back out there? You going Ian Murphy? Ian Murphy, of course, two reds in a row. He got a yellow real fast again, which between him and Mascara, and then they take Hagelin out, so you're really clinching. I want to know who you starting on Thursday.
Well, I'm going through the yellow card thing right now, so you guys can answer that.
I think you go with Hags.
I think you go with Murphy.
Redemption tour or Bill Wolf?
I think that Murphy. Sorry, I'm stepping in here, but I think that Murphy does better when he's up with Miazga on his side. If it's a game where he has really only Mascara as his guidance, I think he's a little lost out there sometimes. So I think having Miazga with Murphy is better than Murphy without Miazga.
Well, I think either one of them is better with Miazga back there. I think that's clear enough as it is. I think for me, I just feel like, Hags definitely had some challenges, let's say. But again, he didn't have maybe some of that support that he needed either. But I think that Murphy to me is just, he's getting pretty scary. It's just, he keeps drawing cards. It's like almost when he was out there, I was like, just don't get a red, man. Don't get a red. So
here's a question. Would you consider Powell?
No.
Okay.
Hey, I thought you were busy.
Sorry, I'm still listening to you. But seriously, if you guys want to, the Leagues Cup rulebook is more in detail than the MLS rulebook. So holy crap!
Yeah, it's got its own rulebook. I did notice that.
Yeah, but I'm with you, Brian. I don't think you put Powell in there. Powell for me as a center back is a stopgap. He's done okay in the right matches, but we saw it with the last match. He's kind of like a windmill out there. I mean, his arms are out a lot, and that's not a good thing for a center back. And it bit us on this game.
Yeah,
not that he was a center back at the time, but
yeah, it certainly does. In my opinion, we have such a strong attack. We have such a decent midfield that really all you have asked of that back line is to not get a red card and to hold on in those moments that FC Cincinnati gets chased down.
Finally found it. Yellow cards are cumulative from the group stage up to the round of 16. The player who is sanctioned 3 times between the group stage and up to the round of 16 will be suspended for one match. If the player obtained his third yellow in the round of 16, he would serve his sanction in the quarterfinal.
Okay.
Before starting the quarterfinal round, all yellow cards will be reset and their count will begin again.
So basically, you can't get 3 yellow cards in 4 matches.
Yes.
Let's call it that. Okay.
Yeah, that was a weird way of saying that, but I agree with you, Jeff. That's what that said.
Dude, I tell you what, man, this is like, it's like 65, 60-page booklet. Yeah, it's cool.
All right, well,
Glad they're taking it seriously, unlike some of the teams fielding players with 3 numbers on the back of their jersey.
Did you find it manually or did you utilize the Control F function?
No, this is definitely reading through it. Trust me.
All right. Well, unless you guys have anything else to jump on at this game real quick, we can touch on a couple of the things that happened in the league. Obviously, Messi got his debut. We already hit on that a little bit. I think half of the United States saw that Messi goal, if not more. So kind of cool to get eyes on the league for at least a moment.
The thing I didn't like about that game is that it seemed to be a lot of focus on the celebrities that were at that game. Like, we're really trying to grow this sport, in terms of both grassroots and corporate synergy. And, you're showing a Kardashian, you're showing, Serena Williams, you're showing LeBron, you're showing a lot of celebrities in the crowd. I'm like, but the product on the field is what should be dominating this. You posted this thing, the League's Cup, as Mexico versus the US. The people in the crowd, if they're there just to see Messi, I don't think you should be focusing on them.
I mean, the product on the field wasn't that great till he stepped on the pitch. So let's
be
honest.
But it's still the product on the field. It's not the people in the stands. You should be.
Well, I was like you, Jeff, not thrilled with it, but I really lost it when they actually interviewed Kim Kardashian. I just thought, like,
did I miss that?
Yeah. In the pregame, they interviewed Kardashian.
That's why.
Yeah.
Like,
could have been as bad as the coverage in the New Yorker.
She said her son likes soccer, and that's why she's there, Brian.
Yep. That famous Chilean striker, Luis Suarez.
It's a big deal, guys. It's not going to get old. People are not going to stop talking about it. I don't want them to stop talking about it. To date, I think they said there are over 300,000 new subscribers to MLS Season Pass. That number is going to keep skyrocketing more and more and more. You have, like, I was on a work call today, and the guy knew I love soccer, and he goes, "Hey, man, through T-Mobile, I got MLS Season Pass, and we've been logging on and watching it a bunch more." And that's what we want to see. You multiply out the dollars times the subscribers, and yeah, it might not make sense financially with how much they're providing the clubs, but let's be real. That's not what it's about. It's about making sure I'm addicted to this little device in my hand here and replacing all the evil, devilish androids that Boston Razzle Dazzle Brazzle uses. Sorry, Bill Wolf also uses. We can't say you guys were that smart, but I'm joking. I love you both. But in all honesty,
the 2 smartest guys here still have Android, right?
So there's so many crazy things going on with the rules, and with all these new players coming on, I hope there's more transparency coming. But let's be real. He's jump-starting this league to where we really want it to be. So
let's be fair.
I'll take Kim Kardashian on TV for that.
Yeah, well, she can be there, but we don't need to make a big deal about her. But I mean, let's be real. Also, think back to when Beckham came. It was, the same thing at a different level, and what it really did for the league long term. And I think no matter what anybody thinks or says or whatever, I mean, there is going to be a change. And it's going to be positive for this league. And it just means that, 10 years from now or whatever, we'll be looking back at whatever the next big thing is for this league. But we're definitely moving forward from this point at a rapid pace.
If it equals more money and it lets Carl Under do more things, then I can't complain too much about it. And I think that is kind of what's going to go down. As long as we keep the equal playing field, Miami, like no more suspensions, no more weirdness. I'll let you have Messi. That's fine. And his buddies, but
I still want somebody to tell me how that roster works out with all these changes.
Right. Publish the math. Major
Hey,
League Soccer.
apparently we didn't pay Brenner over his last couple months, so that's kind of interesting too. So we'll see how that worked with the cap.
Oh, was that in the story? I didn't
Yeah.
catch that piece.
I don't want to ruin it, but it was interesting. Bob Ryan on YouTube says, when it becomes more about who's in the crowd than what's on the field, I'm done. I agree with that, but you also have to see, like, we need people in the crowds. We need people's eyeballs on here, and associating it with LeBron. Hey, guys, LeBron thinks soccer's cool. Maybe that gets X amount more people to like it. Maybe he tweets it on Instagram. Look at myself. Amazing. But that's kind of what I'm saying.
Tweets it on X.
Yeah, there you go. Tweets it on X.
Or Zeets it on X.
Is that what it is?
I have no idea.
So
How do you tweet when it's not a bird?
I'm okay with it. People make things to be bigger than what they are. Example, this past weekend with Wrexham. Oh, 70, the dumb dude, Ben. Oh, look at 50,000, 70,000 people came to watch Wrexham in North Carolina, and only 4,000 people came to watch him in LA 5 days later. So let's just be real what it is. Messi's a huge story. People are going to want to be involved in him, and it's going to make the league better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we're running out of time, so we'll flip it to LA for Messi and talk a little bit more about Leagues Cup. I was a bit surprised. The Liga MX clubs kind of did not perform as well as I was expecting, and I wondered if it was due to home field or travel, or are U.S. soccer clubs just performing at a high level?
I think part of it was just you only saw that one game where Minnesota thumped Puebla 4-0, even with a man down. I think that's the only difference right now. I mean, Atlas beat New York City. I think Philadelphia beat a Mexican team as well. And there were also a lot of games where it was MLS versus MLS. So we really haven't seen the full extent of what the Mexican teams can bring to the table. I think there is part of it being the home field advantage for the MLS. But for right now, I don't think you can make any decisions.
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of factors, right? I mean, home field advantage, certainly, right? They're playing here, but you also have just the timing of the tournament, right? When we talk about CONCACAF Champions League and things like that, we're beginning our seasons, we're struggling, and they're in form. Well, now we're in form, and they're just beginning their season. So we flip that narrative a little bit. It gives us a little bit of an advantage. But I think for me, I have this weird thought, right? Which is like the parity of MLS, right? The fact that we make it so that FC Cincinnati can be the 3-time wooden spoon, and 2 years later, the Supporters Shield winner, right? I mean, the fact that we allow that in this league, we cherish that in this league, puts us at a disadvantage in like the CONCACAF Champions League, because I think Liga MX doesn't have that parity, right? So, there's a lot more distance between their bottom team to their top team, where we're more centered. So I feel like, we're probably going to be better than like the bottom half of Liga MX, and will be competitive with, maybe the top middle-ish piece. And then there's those top teams that are just going to continue to give us a problem. And that's why, like in CONCACAF Champions League, those are the ones that make it. We struggle every time. But I think when you take the entire league and put it up against there, I think you're going to see MLS is competitive.
Yeah, you would see 13 MLS teams slotted between their bottom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we'd be like 10, or sorry, we'd be above their 10th place team. And literally there's a huge gap there where we would be 13 teams above their 10th and below their 9th team. So we'll see what happens when it all comes out. Thank you, Transfer Market. Love you.
Yeah.
If that made any sense.
We're going to get a taste of it right Thursday. We're going to figure out how number one in Major League Soccer goes up against number one at this moment in Liga MX. So it'll be a good battle, a good test of it. I look forward to seeing how Noonan does it, how serious Chivas takes it, and it's going to be a good game. If you don't have tickets, go on Thursday. I know you can probably offload them for a pretty penny, but I think it's going to be worth it. I'm holding on to mine. We look forward to seeing you guys out there. All right, let's get into your final thoughts. We're past that hour mark, and we'll let you out of here soon. Jeff, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I sometimes, like, within the summer, I'm sort of like, oh, there's nothing on TV. The EPL is dried up. There's no European leagues going on. But this year it feels kind of special. I mean, not only do you have the Leagues Cup, and, you've got a lot of domestic soccer still being played. You've got the Women's World Cup going on. Granted, it's going to be hard to pay attention to it because you might have to wake up at 3:00 in the morning to watch some of these games. But for me, I've rediscovered the European League qualifiers. That the Champions League have all of their teams from all the countries that have managed to win their divisions playing against each other just to get a taste of that sweet nectar that is the Champions League. I'm paying more attention to it, and I'm enjoying that. I invite people to follow a random team out there and enjoy a little bit of fun soccer.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate you being on tonight. Bill Wolf up next.
Yeah. So, we're doing well. FC Cincinnati, we're pretty much have the supporter shield locked in. I mean, the only real threat to me feels really like New England. But we can do that. We're 2 games away from an Open Cup trophy. So, that's within reach. You literally heard us talking on the show. We're 1 game into Leagues Cup and we're talking about being in the final. So I think there's a lot of belief right now in Cincinnati. So I think, we could take the quad. I think FC Cincinnati for the quad, Messi who.
Oh, we brought back the quad. I love it. All right. Brian Weigel.
Just having fun. Nothing too crazy. You heard me talk way too much. Just having fun, enjoying it, and having my wife and my son watching it and be like, we're really starting to enjoy this.
Mm-hmm.
Special.
Big thanks to all of our Cincinnati Soccer Talk Patreon supporters, people that keep this podcast, the website free for everybody, our photographers on the field. Had a really good shots this week. I think we put those galleries out on Facebook. Our head photographer does that. So check it out. Make sure you comment on your favorites and put it out there. We create all this stuff for you guys. So hope you enjoy it and follow along the best you can. I've been enjoying the U.S. Women's World Cup. It has been fun to wake up in the morning, especially this weekend, and catch games. I had to get up a little bit early, 6, 7 a.m. But the Saturday, Sunday, pretty awesome. I need to record them though. You're right, because I can't catch them all, and that's a bummer. But here we go. Later this week, got more matches kicking off. If you haven't tuned in yet, tune in. It is a blast. Women's World Cup is always so fun to watch. I don't know why. Maybe it's just a clean game, crisp passing. I can't tell why I like it so much. I just really, really like it. And that's coming from a guy who doesn't really watch a lot of overseas soccer or anything like that. But I think that's all we have for you tonight. Thanks for tuning in live to Cincinnati Soccer Talk or listening on the podcast in your car the next day. We will see you next week.